Good morning. I read this story some time ago. It was a young man in Melbourne, a Pentecostal Christian, who read a story in a newspaper. It was a story of a young man called Jimmy Lee Davis. He'd been a pretty horrible young bloke. He'd raped violently a number of young women. He was caught, arrested, imprisoned, and he served his sentence. When he was let out, he went out and raped and murdered another young woman. He was quickly rearrested. He was sentenced to death and placed on death row. The story had quotes from people, but particularly his mum, who said, "What he has done is absolutely evil. He should not be released ever. He doesn't deserve to live. My son is evil and horrible. He deserves to die." Even this young man's mother was so horrified by his evil acts. This young man in Melbourne who read the story was horrified also by the evil and the violence. But something also in him sparked a curiosity, and he wondered not just why Jimmy would do it or be horrified by it. He wondered what might have been different in Jimmy Lee Davis's life if he knew the love and grace that this young person had experienced in his own life. The love and grace that, I guess, had transformed him and changed him. If he knew this love of God that he'd experienced, would Jimmy Lee Davis be different? Would things be different? So he felt he had to write a letter. He wrote a letter to Jimmy Lee explaining that he'd read the article and horrified by the evil, but he said, "I wish you could have known the love and the grace that I found in my life. The love and the grace that's changed me." He didn't expect this letter to do anything, to get a reply, and so he was shocked a few weeks later to receive a letter in reply, and the letter was from Jimmy Lee Davis himself, who read this and probably in his most vulnerable and humble way ever said it was the most beautiful letter he'd ever read, the most beautiful words ever spoken to him. No one had ever said anything like that to him. He'd made such a mess of his life and the lives of other people. He'd done horrific acts which he's ashamed of. He wished he could know this love and grace that this young man spoke of, even this God that he spoke of. They corresponded backwards and forwards over a couple of years, and the young bloke in Melbourne had this strong sense, a strong belief that he needed to go and visit Jimmy Lee in person and share this deeper faith with him. He shared that with his pastor, with his friends, with his family, and they all agreed. They said, "Yeah, you've got to go." And so they helped him find money and get the money together. He bought a ticket and flew to America. He didn't think through the whole consequences of having to get permissions and all of that. And when he got there, he approached people. Everything seemed to fall into place, and he got permission to enter the prison, to death row, to spend 2 days a week for 4 hours at a time on death row with Jimmy Lee Davis. So he trotted in with his guitar on his back and his Bible. They knew each other from the letters and correspondence they'd had. But in this time they began to share deeply, share the stories of their lives, and this young man shared the story of his faith, of his own transformation, and the life that he'd found in God. They sang songs together, read Bible passages, prayed together. They became brothers. And these times in the prison cell over these few months were very special and significant times. His time soon ran out, the visa expired, but on his last visit, Jimmy Lee Davis was baptised by the prison chaplain and became Christian. He'd seen a whole change in Jimmy Lee's life. This person who'd violently killed and raped women was a different person. But Jimmy Lee said quite clearly, he said, "I'm horrified and ashamed of what I've done. I've ruined the lives of many people, and I can never make up for the evil I've committed. I'm truly sorry, and I know I've been forgiven for that, but I will not use my conversion to get out of this sentence of death." I will take the punishment that I deserve. Anyway, they parted, and the young bloke came back to Australia. They continued to correspond, and then one day he got this phone call from his wife at work, and she said, "You need to get home as soon as possible. Jimmy Lee has been given permission to receive a phone call, one phone call. He's going to be put to death tonight." Well, the young man raced home from work, put through the call to the prison, got through to Jimmy Lee. But as he tried to speak to Jimmy Lee, he just broke down in tears. He just couldn't speak. And Jimmy Lee said, "Don't worry, man, it's okay. Thank you for all you've done. You can never know how much you've helped me and changed me and made a difference to my life. These last few years have been the best ever for me, even though I've been on death row. Thank you so much. I'll be seeing you again. Goodbye for now." He was put to death that night. That story challenges me because, like so many, I would want to just write Jimmy Lee Davis off. Like so many did, even his mum. But this young fellow wondered why he did this, and wondered not just why, but what might happen if Jimmy Lee could know a deeper love, a deeper grace that transformed him. And he shared it with him. In all of these kinds of situations, we often ask questions of why. Why would he do? Why these women? Why did he do this? Why? We ask the why questions in lots of parts of our lives. Why is Vladimir Putin like he is? Why is he invading Ukraine? What's it all about? And if we want to analyse it politically or listen to what he said, we can probably find answers of what he's on about. But still, the why question doesn't get answered. When my mum was dying, I asked why. I knew the science and the biology and the medical, but there's a deeper why. And so often that why question is a mystery. We don't know the answer, and there isn't an answer. But we ask it. Often the why questions can lead us into a deeper sense of curiosity and wonder, lead us into that mystery. And they invite other questions about not so much why is this happening, but how do we respond? How do we respond to the evil around us? How do we respond to the suffering and the struggle, the natural disasters and the people who are affected? How do we respond with compassion or love? How do we respond to the pain of our own lives? But all too often, I guess, the why questions close down that questioning and want to protect us from the world. You know, why did this person get struck by lightning and not this one? Or the person was there half an hour earlier. Why did the tree fall on this person or that house and not that one? Why? In the story that Luke tells this week, people are asking these why questions of Jesus. Why did these people get killed by King Herod and their blood mixed with the blood of animal sacrifices? Why did these people get killed when the Tower of Siloam fell on them? Why then? In their world, there was a corollary of why were they punished? What did they do wrong that they were punished for what they did? They saw suffering and as a sign of punishment from God or whoever. And yet, Jesus comes back at them and says, it's not about punishment. The questions you're asking are the wrong questions. They don't lead you into answers. The questions you're asking are not the right questions. Rather, how do we respond to the likes of King Herod? How do we respond to the people who are lowly, poor, impoverished, sick? How do we respond to the people who are disabled, who are disfranchised, who are pushed to the edges and the margins, the people we think are being punished? How do we respond to them in compassion and love and embrace them into the bigger sense of community? He often answers questions with questions or tells a story. In this case, he tells a story about a fig tree. This fig tree was planted by the landowner, and the first year it didn't bear fruit. He gave it a second chance, a second year. The second year he comes and looks, there's no fruit. And he says to the gardener, cut it down. This is a waste of space. It's wasting space in my garden, my soil. Get rid of it. The gardener says, Master, Give me one chance with it. I'll dig up around it, I'll dig the soil it's in, I'll dig it out and I'll replace it and I'll put in manure and compost and I'll give it a chance. I'll change the soil and the conditions of its growth. Give it one more year. If that doesn't work, we'll chop it down. In a sense, that's what the guy from Melbourne was doing with Jimmy Lee. Giving him a chance of new soil in which to grow, a new soil for his life, a new way of seeing and believing and understanding himself and his life, of being valued for who he could be, who he was deep inside, not this evil, this one who committed evil acts, who was angry or violent or whatever, but touched something deeper into him and brought it out and brought out the real potential within him. And so Jesus is inviting us into this deeper way of being and living within our world, within our lives. How do we respond to the pain and the struggle? How do we respond to the evil, the natural disasters, the suffering around us? How do we live with it in the mystery and uncertainty and confusion that fills our lives? And how do we respond to people? Do we respond with compassion? Do we offer them another chance? Not just forgiving and forgetting, but making them accountable but giving them a chance to grow and respond, a second chance. Or do we hold what people do against them for the whole of their lives, even when they have changed? How do we respond to the struggles and pain and suffering of our world or our own lives? And how do we draw strength to live through it, to be new people? Jesus invites us to ponder this. He doesn't give us easy answers, but he invites us to ponder and to struggle and to wrestle together and to trust in the grace of God. Amen.